Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm out here with one of the best trainers in boxing right now, Steven Breadman Edwards. How's everything going?
Good, man. Just relaxing, looking at my Eagles in a tough game.
I mean, the fact that their record's pretty solid, so I mean, it's not much that you can complain about, right?
No, I'm not complaining. Pittsburgh's playing them tough though right now. No, it's 13-17 at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, good thing that you guys are up, right? So,
Yep, yep.
mentioning what's up is I took a chance and I saw that you have this cool elite boxing boot camp that's going to be, I think, going on if not I think January 6th, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's just a way to make a little bit of money in between fights, to be
Yeah.
honest, and give like white collar regular people like a taste of the training that some of my guys do. And the gym owner, we've been talking about it for a while, and she finally put everything together. It's gonna be real cool. It's at James Schuler's Memorial Gym. So yeah, it should be fun and it's exclusive. It's not a huge class. So I'll get to show everybody their individual time and they can get to see what it's like to train for a world class fight.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the title elite's perfect, world champion boxing trainer, so that's awesome. I know you're offering like nutrition plans, beginner benefits, and the program's about what, 4 to 12 week classes?
4 weeks.
4 weeks? Okay. Oh, 12 classes in 4 weeks.
Mhm.
Got it. All right. Well, look, there's a lot of stuff in boxing that I would love to kind of start, going into. There was a huge upset last night. I mean, everyone kind of, Munguia's opponent out because of the lack of knockouts on his resume. But on Twitter, you put all punches hurt, right? KO Analytics is a good reference, but again, all punches hurt. So, what do you think about that upset?
Sometimes it kind of annoys me when, you know, in boxing, you have guys in the media and they dismiss opponents and they say stuff like, well, like their ego is so big that if they don't know an opponent, they think that the opponent can't fight. And that's not fair to the person that's fighting them, and that's not fair to them. We got to be better than that in boxing. You hear guys they take credit away from lighter weight fighters because they aren't familiar with their opponents, and and then you hear analytical guys. They'll look at a guy's record and they'll be like, "Oh man, he can't punch. He's not dangerous." And I'm like, first of all, when I say all punches hurt, I mean it in a figurative way, not literally. But all punches have an effect on you. You don't want to get hit. You can be knocked out by any punch. And just because a guy has a low KO percentage, that doesn't mean he can't hurt you if he's hitting bags and doing strength work every day. He hits you with a shot that you don't see. Trust me, you can be hurt. Just because a guy's not 20-0 with 19 knockouts, that doesn't mean that he's not dangerous. So every once in a while, something like that happens and it kind of just humbles people when they say, "Oh, that guy can't punch, you should walk right through him." Yeah, okay. You really believe that a little kid can hurt you if he hits you right with a punch that you don't see. So that was just it was just me just speaking out because I hear that, and I just can't stand when guys sit on the couch and they get dismissive of someone's opponent. Every man in that ring is dangerous, and you never know what you're gonna run into on any given day.
Yeah, I mean, I know Tank uttered that a little bit in his second press conference too when they kind of talked about the knockout. He was like, "Yeah, anyone can, as long as you get hit on the right spot,
Yeah,
enough pressure."
there's so many pressure points in the body, man. I hate when guys say that. That's like my pet peeve. I'll hear it in the gym. Guys will walk up on me. Why didn't you just take him out earlier? Or he was smaller than you, guy. Why didn't he just walk him down? I'm like, bro, all punches hurt. Nobody wants to get hit in the face or any of their vital organs. We got so many pressure points in our head and our body. You just got to just be careful with that mindset.
hmm I know now everyone's going to kind of, I guess, match how Munguia looked in that fight against the Canelo fight. I know some people are now starting to diminish, I guess, Canelo's win because essentially he went the distance. This guy got him out. why, from a trainer aspect, for the people who don't understand, why can't you really compare Canelo's fight with Munguia? Or if you can compare, essentially what happened the other night.
Well, if you're a fan of the guy who beat Munguia, you'll compare and you'll say he went the distance with him and he was able to stop him. But it's a the comparison is relevant, but it's you have to take everything in context. The Munguia Canelo fight was Munguia's biggest fight of his life. So he was in the greatest shape of his life. He put everything into that. It's almost like in a hip hop where a successful artist, their first album is awesome because that's their whole life. They put all their passion into it. That's how I equate when a guy gets it gets his first big fight. He puts everything into that. So Munguia, his body even looked different when he fought Canelo than when he fought this guy. Um, that's what makes a great fighter because great fighters they don't really need motivation. They have the discipline to get up for everybody on every single night. Very good fighters have the ability to get up for the big fights, and every once in a while they'll have a little letdown performance, and that's what Munguia has. That's why he's a very good fighter, and he's not a great fighter. But the comparison is relevant, but you just have to keep it in context. He was on cloud nine for Canelo. Canelo's a Hall of Famer. He's the more he's one of the, if not the most famous fighters of this era. So, guys are going to get up for him and give him his best shot.
Do you think, I guess bringing up another fighter who's kind of uttered, um, he needs bigger fights to kind of potentially rise to the occasion. I guess like Duran kind of because of the politics and not getting certain fights, he's kind of uttered a little bit after the post and the Kieran fight, kind of like, I know there's things I could have worked on and things like that, but I if I fight like a more known opponent or something like that, that would get me, I guess, more amped up, right? Is that more of an experience thing, just like knowing that you have to do it, or is that really case by case?
I think it's a real thing, but it's never an excuse
Hmm.
because you have to get up because if you don't, you're going to have an inconsistent career or you're going to lose the fighters that you should beat. But I do think it is a real thing. I just think it's something that you have to compartmentalize. I think that it's a lot of things. I think oftentimes fighters stay in camp too long, where they get bored and they get stale in camp, and the next thing
Hmm.
you know, they're going to fight, and they don't have the confidence that they normally would have because they just stayed in camp too long. Camp Emmanuel Stewart, I met him in Atlantic City in 2012, and Julian Williams had a big it was like a prospect fight against a 7-1 kid. I think Julian was like 8-0 at the time. And the kid stayed on Emmanuel Stewart's floor and he told him to come down and look at the fight. If I'm not mistaken, his name was Hector Rosario. And it was on the Chad Dawson Bernard Hopkins rematch undercard. And I seen Emmanuel after the fight, and I asked him, I said, "Why'd you come down? What made you come down to check the fight out?" And he told me, he said that guy was standing on my floor. He told me and Max Kellerman to come down and check out the fight. It was a good fight. You guys did a good job. So we talked for maybe 2 hours. Um, and one of the things he told me is fighters stay in camp too long. And I had kind of knew it. I was still new at the time, but I kind of knew it. But that just reaffirmed it. He was like, if you stay in camp too long, you'll get stale. And he told me some of his best camps were like 6 weeks for 15-round fights. And he's like, that's because you just hit the peak and go right into the fight. So I'm seeing sometimes guys just stand in the gym, you know, 12 weeks for a fight, 11 weeks, 10 weeks. And then they have these weird performances. And I think if you don't have weight issues and you already in condition, 8 weeks, go right into the fight, and then you'll just feel real refreshed. And I think that that's something that's happening to a lot of guys. And just mentally, you just have to compartmentalize it. Like I'm sure, like a guy like Usyk, look how consistent he is. Like you just have to figure out a way to compartmentalize that. I think specifically in Ennis's case, he fought a guy last year, and it was a good fight, and he had to make the fight. Then he had to go through this a grinding camp against the same guy a year later in front of his hometown fans, and the guy was running from him and doing all kinds of things when he fought him in DC. And I think that it was just frustrating just to go through that camp for him. I'm just guessing that's what he
Hmm.
meant. And then in front of your crowd, everybody wants to see blood. And in his mind, he's like, this guy's gonna run from me. And I just think that he probably just wasn't up in the camp. And when I mean by up, I mean just really motivated and eager to fight. And that's why I say um, discipline is better than motivation. Because when you're disciplined, you don't really need motivation. Just do what you got to do, get in the ring and get out. But he still won the fight. You know what I mean? When you're not up for an opponent and you're not having your best night and you still find a way to win, that's impressive to me at the top level, even if it is an unknown guy or a guy that's not highly regarded. But that's the difference between good and great fighters. Bernard Hopkins found a way to stay consistent for 20 years. So, hopefully, Ennis works that out, which I think he will. And I think he'll be okay. If his team gets him some bigger fights, I think he'll rise to the occasion and show the skills that a lot of people know here in Philly know that he has.